here just a little cold. And so I'm home, but I'm calling in, being a giver. And just wanted to let you know because you're probably listening and saying, "Wow, my hearing must be going bad." But no, it's just over the phone doing it. So anyway, as you know, Izzy and I went on a trip not too long ago. And one of the problems that I realized I was having is being a diabetic and always trying to watch myself, especially carbs. My thought was, if I'm going to take some food with me, like Atkins bars or protein drinks or whatever, then I thought, I'm sure they have it there. So I decided not to. And wrong, basically, everything in Rome is carbs. Everything from pastas to pizzas, and in the morning, all they eat is sweet, croissants and sweet pastries and stuff. And so I thought, I'm sure I'm not the only person that's going to be, going on vacations and stuff. And so I thought we'd have a special guest on. And this is a woman who I really admire. I've had her on before, and her name is Connie Elick, and she's a registered dietitian. And welcome to the Let's Find Out show, Connie.
Thank you so much for having me on the air. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. So, like I said, it was, kind of hard for the 2 weeks trying to eat healthy, especially being in different countries and even on a cruise ship and everything else. You have some choices, but I just thought it might be good with vacations coming up and everything, how people can help themselves in terms of eating healthy while on the road.
Well, I guess it depends where you're going and how long you'll be there, what access to different facilities that you have, and so forth. I personally, my daughter and I, we went on vacation in February to Walt Disney World. And what was nice about that particular vacation is I worked with a travel agent, and she was able to help walk me through all the restaurants and go online and pick out the different foods that were available. So I kind of got an idea of what was optional for me. Like, what are my options? Is there a refrigerator in the hotel room? You know what I mean? To keep your food fresh. So that was very, very helpful. So if you can work with a travel agent, first of all, that would be great. Otherwise, I would say, depending on where you're going, research the hotel, the resort, the surrounding areas for menus and restaurants, quick service, and find what your options are there and make a plan.
Well, that makes really good sense. But, the other thing, too, is even if you go out of the city to a different city in California or anywhere else, not all CVSs have the same items. Not all Costco has the same items. So it's even if you think, I'll just stop at Costco and get some protein drinks or anything, they always don't have it. Everyone's so different. And are there things that you suggest carrying with you at all times, or what are some suggestions, especially for those people, going to work even? I mean, after a while, it must get boring trying to be healthy and stay on a diet or just trying to eat healthy. And that's where your knowledge comes in.
So generally speaking, of course, as far as going to work, I would say meal planning, what you're going to eat, or meal prepping are two very good things. Meal prepping, where maybe on a Sunday you purchase enough groceries to make, 4 lunches or 5 lunches for the week. You meal prep it on Sunday, and then you go ahead and have your lunches ready for you, so you don't have to run out to the fast food place, and you know what you're going to get. Then you can also pack snacks, usually some kind of maybe fruit and nuts or different things like that. It all depends on what your palate likes as well as what your health goals are.
Right. What about proteins? What are some good proteins to take along with you? Or, I know meat, you got to watch how much you intake of meat and stuff, but what other items out there do you think are good choices for protein?
Are you talking about pre-made stuff or things that you could prepare to take with you?
Either way, either pre-made. Sometimes we're in a hurry, we don't have time to cook. So I know for me, I use protein drinks a lot, or protein bars, and I'm just wondering what are the recommendations you have? What are some, I know, like you said, nuts are good, bananas are good, fruit and stuff is good.
Right.
But, what else is good?
And you said that you were wanting to include more protein, right? So
Right.
a good one for that would be pack little containers of Greek yogurt because those are higher in protein like than regular yogurt. And you can
Oh,
pair
really?
that
Okay.
with berries. That's a good combination, or some other fruit. And the
Mm-hmm.
protein in the Greek yogurt as well as the fiber that's in the fruit will help to balance people's blood sugars as well. Of course, everything that I'm saying is generally speaking. Each person
Right.
is an individual basis, so they may have different recommendations. But when we're just talking about your typical average person, you know, that's where I'm speaking from.
Yeah, because it's unfortunately, I should say fortunately, restaurants will work with you. Just tell them if you have food allergies or anything, let them know that. But planning ahead, I think, is everything. And Izzy, you do a lot of the traveling, and I know you do. You look forward to your dinners and lunches and breakfasts and stuff. And I think that's a key thing is just planning ahead and watching the menu, looking at reviews of menus, and what are some of your suggestions on something like that?
Izzy stepped out really quick.
Oh, she's okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, no problem. I'm on the phone here, so
I know you
don't
can't
see.
see
So
anything. I'm
yeah, I
still here
can't see
though.
anything. Okay, that's important. So, okay. The other thing too is, being healthy. A lot of times people have, they think eating healthy is not eating good, and that's one thing I've learned is that you can eat really good and being healthy. I know. What's your take in terms of like plant-based items now? Because I've seen a lot of increases in plant-based meats, plant-based cheeses, especially, and it seems like the quality is getting really, really good. And what's your feeling on those products?
I think that including more plants and plant-based foods is a great idea. It's a lot of people turn to that for health benefits. They tend to be, generally speaking, they tend to be lower in calories, lower in fat, higher in fiber. Um, the only things that I would say to like maybe be mindful of is if you are going to uh, choose to follow vegetarian diets completely, you want to make sure that you are educated well enough to be able to eat enough calories and enough of the foods that will provide you with the vitamins and nutrients that you need.
Right. And one thing I found with vegetarian food, a lot of times it's loaded with salt more than I think regular food. And I don't know if you've seen that, but I couldn't believe it one time I looked at a product and I was like, holy moly, that's a lot of sodium. And, I don't know whether it makes up for the lack of taste. This is the old time now. I'm not sure about the new one. But that's the other thing I think people aren't aware of. It's not just fat or carbs. It's also in terms of sodium. I mean, everything's got sodium in it. And, if you have heart problems or if you want to get heart problems, that's the way to continue is eat a lot of sodium. And it seems like people just blindly pour salt on items. And what's your take on sodium? I mean, don't you think that's just a key thing too?
So, with raw fruits and vegetables and plant-based foods that you would like cook and prepare, you're in control of the sodium level. Yes, there's a little bit of sodium naturally found in fruits and or vegetables and so forth, plant matter, I should say. But it's once the items start getting processed, that's where all that sodium, all those preservatives come into effect. So, if you're
Mm-hmm.
actually like cooking your more vegetarian types of foods and not getting, say, some of the prepackaged vegetarian, like soy based burgers or whatever,
Sure.
that's you're going to have less if you go with a regular, like natural foods. But once you start
Mm-hmm.
getting the packaged foods, just like with packaged foods in general, not just the vegetarian or vegan ones, is they add more things to it that work as preservatives and other chemicals and
Right.
stuff.
Right. How much in an average diet? How much sodium should a person have?
Well, the adequate intake, meaning the amount that the general population probably needs, is about only 1,500 milligrams.
Okay.
That's like one meal. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have heard more of the 2,300 milligrams, but that's actually considered our upper level, which is the most we can have on a regular basis before we start experiencing adverse effects.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So,
What
yeah.
about you? Go ahead.
1,500. That's like nothing. If you can go anywhere to have a meal, it's already 1,500 milligrams.
Yes,
Well,
in
plus things
restaurants.
like soda and everything else. If you drink, even diet soda, anything, everything has sodium. I mean, literally almost everything.
The biggest culprits for sodium, believe it or not, is not actually when we're salting our food, although we should be mindful of that too. It's the fast foods, the restaurant foods, and then the processed prepackaged foods. Those are the top three where most of our sodium in the American diet comes from.
Then I'm dead in the water since I eat every meal out living on the road.
Yeah. What are some of the problems you have? Because I know you're really into eating healthy, and I mean, it's not that easy, is it? So you really have to do some homework sometimes.
Yeah, it's, like there's options, but then you end up eating the same thing over and over again when you're traveling. So I try to start my day off like if it's possible, I try usually like get a bowl of fresh fruit. I never do the, canned stuff. And then do like egg white, veggie omelet, no cheese. So literally like cut down as much fat as I can. So it's a good source of protein. And then, I always carry nuts with me. Always have that kind of stuff with me, lots of water. But, it's hard, I think navigating dietary needs when you're on the road. The choices are limited. You're very restricted to eating the same thing over again, and it gets old. You can only eat chicken, grilled chicken salad so many times a day or a
Exactly.
week. So, that gets kind of challenging.
I think Connie was 100% right in terms of doing some homework, calling the restaurant, talking with them, tell them if you have any problems or issues, can you deal with it? Can you make something for me? I mean, most of them will do that. I mean, especially now, they're willing to do anything for you because they want customers. But I would do that and call ahead. I think is a great idea. And,
it's great if you're just traveling once in a while. If you're doing this every week, Monday through Friday, that's a little bit different. Good luck.
Yeah.
I don't have time barely for work, to go prepare calling everybody and to find out what they have. So that's a little, unrealistic for somebody that lives on the road. I mean, I think for every Joe Schmo that, like travels once in a while, it's okay to do all that research and it's absolutely recommended. But I think it's a little more challenging if somebody is like a road warrior because, like I said, it's not as easy as everybody think it is. So,
well, another option is if you're always having to dine out and so forth like that. A way to cut calories and fat is to, so at restaurants and so forth, they give you a lot more food than one person, needs in one meal. So if you're with somebody else, you can ask for a to-go box and you can cut it in half and you can share it, or you can cut it in half, put half in the to-go box, and then if you have a refrigerator where you're staying, put it in your room. That way you have another meal. You save money. You save calories, you save on fat, so, and mainly, let me clarify about the fat situation. Saturated fat and trans fats are the ones that we're trying to, so saturated fat we're trying to limit, trans fat we're trying to avoid. The other unsaturated fats, now we want some of those, especially the omega-3s, which are the only type of fat that are actually essential to our bodies.
What kind of foods have that?
Omega-3s?
Yeah.
Fish. Lots of fish.
Okay.
Lots of green leafy vegetables.
So you want cold water fatty fish. You want to get the fish that has less mercury content. So some of the cold water fatty fish that I like is the salmon and tuna. And then omega-3s can also be found in things like walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds. And with the flax seeds, the nutrients are better absorbed if it's ground flaxseed. Yeah, so those are some examples of where you can find those wonderful omega-3 fatty acids that we need so much. Right.
Now, what's your opinion of vitamins and minerals and stuff like that, supplements? Because I know in the past, I've heard rumors, or not rumors, but people are saying that, hey, if you eat a regular diet, you don't need those. But it seems like most people don't eat a normal diet. And now with things like COVID and everything else, there's all kinds of minerals and vitamins that they say to take, and what's your feeling on that? Because I think it can be real consuming, real confusing. You go to a place like Clark's Nutrition Center, and there's just shelves and shelves and shelves of vitamins and minerals and all this stuff, and supplements. And what do you feel is important? Which ones, and what's your feelings on that?
Well, my feeling is that we should first and foremost focus on what we are eating and drinking on a daily basis and become more educated in what we should be eating and incorporating and things we should be limiting to get the most nutrition, including all the nutrients that we need within our food. There are many metabolic processes that go on when we consume food, whereas if we're consuming a supplement, may not have the same kind of interactions that can benefit us. Mm-hmm. Also, another thing with supplements is they are not regulated. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, as in, is this really, is this the nutrient that's on the label? Is this what I'm actually getting? Is it in the correct amounts? Is it too little? Is it too much? Is there anything else added? So since they're not regulated, it's not guaranteed. Whereas if you're eating, whole food, like food,
right?
I know you're getting so much more. However,
Izzy's a big.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I was gonna say Izzy's a big proponent of taking supplements and stuff and vitamins and stuff, and a lot of people make fun of her because she carries a pouch with her like you wouldn't believe how many are in there. But she's been very healthy, and so for her, it's like it's proven that, and she's good too. But I think a combination of exercising and eating healthy and supplements and stuff, I think it can't hurt you. Let's put it that way. But yeah. Izzy's a testament. I mean, she takes it religiously, and she's in pretty good health, right, Izzy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think a lot of it, I think, a balanced diet's important, but, in order to get the amount of nutrients that we need a lot of times, you would have to eat a lot of green leafy vegetables, a lot of, like, the really healthy things are really, really a large amount, which I don't think most people can't consume that much in one sitting to get that type of vitamin, supplementation. And, of course, for me personally, that's a personal thing. I'm not endorsing one way or another, but, for me, because of my lifestyle, I think it worked for me. I'm really fairly healthy. Actually, my doctor always say my labs are kind of sickening for my age. It's always normal and it's always within range. I never have any, like for being somebody that dine out Monday through Friday, or Saturday, Sunday, that, I don't have any like particular spikes anywhere in my, when they do my annuals. So, it really is a personal choice, not endorsing one thing or another, but for me, it works. I can tell the difference when I'm not taking my vitamins, and I can feel how much I drag, just because my lifestyle, I'm always on the go, lack of sleep, always like working too much. So, for me, it works. So that's all I have to say. That's my disclaimer.
No, what's true, it's true. You're listening to the Let's Find Out show right here on AM 1050, 106.5 FM, and 102.3 FMs, the stations that leave no listeners behind. And with us is Connie Elick. She's a registered dietitian, a really good friend of mine. And first of all, I'm very proud of you for your hard work and passion in school. that was a big thing for you. And
thank you.
You actually made it with everything. So I want to admire you for that. I wanted to thank you for contributing a lot to people's health. And, as we get older, it's going to hit us one way or the other. And in terms of registered dietitian, that's one area that I find most people don't know much about. Although most people who have insurances, they have dietitians in their programs, but they very rarely see them. And I'm just wondering, some of the benefits of doing that, because I really have learned a lot in my experiences working with dietitians. And they're really there for you. It's not like a doctor that sometimes gives you 3 minutes and that's it. dietitians, it's all about your lifestyle and what you like and don't like, and they really put a plan together. And everyone's different in terms of having carbs and fat and everything. Everyone is different in terms of body weight and, just so many factors. And so I'm rambling on here. It's hard doing this on the phone, looking at plants around me. But what's in terms of being a dietitian, do you feel that I think most everybody should be going to one, I think, at one time or another?
I definitely think that it should be a normal part of the medical process, because doctors know a lot, but they don't get years of schooling in nutrition. I think, they only get a few weeks at the most, I think. And for registered dietitians, as opposed to like a nutritionist, anyone can call themselves a nutritionist, but a registered dietitian actually has to go through a 4-year degree. Then we also have to do a 1,200-hour internship that's supervised by a registered dietitian. We have to pass a national exam. We have to keep up our continuing education units or credits. And then in 2024, I believe, they will need a master's in order to become a registered dietitian. However, I already have my master's, so which I just completed last year.
Right.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, registered dietitians, we take into consideration the entire person. So your likes, your dislikes of foods, your lifestyle habits, individual basis, your medical history, any allergies, all sorts of things. So
right, that's the whole process. Now, what's nice about what you do? First of all, you have a great ability to tell people things. On Instagram, you do all kinds of really nice, neat things, short and quick. I would love them. I think they're really creative, and you give a lot of information out in a short period of time. And what are some of the ways people can get a hold of you or follow you?
Oh, thank you. So I am on social media. You can mainly find me on Instagram and Facebook. I am starting to, I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it. And then TikTok will be my next thing that I link them all together, So I'm working on it. But mainly right now, Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at Elick Nutrition. That's ELICK Nutrition. Elick is my last name. And it's spelled like E and lick, as my grandma used to say. So Elick. A lot of people say Elick, but it's Elick.
Elick,
yeah.
Including me. Now I know, okay. But,
now, who should consult for your, how would somebody say, well, I'm just motivated to, out of the blue, call a dietitian. So what would you recommend, just anybody out here as our listeners listening the show, why would they call you? What would motivate? What conversation should they have with you? I know a lot of people get very intimidated calling somebody in the professional fields, so I don't know what to ask for. So, for example, if I'm a client, so if I'm calling, I'm like, well, I'm interested in probably making sure that I'm hitting all my nutritional needs, and not, I'm sure everybody at some point may want to lose some weight and whatever. How does that conversation start with you, and how does that consultation start?
So I offer a free 30-minute call with prospective clients, and basically I just get to know what their biggest struggles and challenges are, and then you have to get to know the person when you're going to work on a one-on-one basis, So basically just asking, for example, so Izzy, we know that one of your biggest struggles is traveling and being on the go and all that. What else would you say is your biggest struggle or challenge with eating healthfully?
Eating more than one meal a day.
Okay. And that's because
I'm working all the time, so
right.
I'm always on the go in a hurry. Yep.
Right. So based on what she says, throughout our visits together, we would set some goals. We would talk about what she thinks is realistic and set goals to pursue to try to combat or overcome those obstacles. But of course, also after the first free call, the main call would be like getting all your history, getting to know all your specifics, if you have any irregular blood work or, pre-diabetic or anything like that. Just all sorts of, if you have high cholesterol, if you're trying to lose weight or if you're trying to get more energy, have your joints feel better. I have worked with people who, after a certain amount of time, like their knee stops hurting. That has been hurting them for a while, or, different things like that. So nutrition really, plays a huge role in how we feel overall. And all of our labs, our mood, everything. And combining nutrition with physical activity, though, that's the winner, right? And maybe some meditation. That's the 3 right there.
Stress?
Yeah, get rid of that stress.
Well, I'll tell you, I can prove it. I'm kind of anti exercising. I don't know why I avoid it, but I do. But on our trip between Italy and Greece, we walked, I think, around 20 miles, if not more. And that's probably more than I've walked in my entire life together. And but all the walking and everything, you really watched what you ate, and it made you think a little bit. It made you sleep much better, that's for sure. But I only gained 1 pound on the whole trip, and that was on a cruise and Rome and everything else.
Food.
Anywhere we can go eat, we can eat. But I'm saying walking is the big thing. Is just that's so important to keep your body moving. It's not just what you eat. That's one component of it. But exercises, and there's so many different ways of exercising. You can do physical exercise. You can just sitting down like I'm doing now. I'm moving my feet. It's just moving and being active. That's the main thing.
Yeah, all that walking on your trip probably, helped you in many ways. I know when we were at Disney World, I was doing over 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah. I think we were averaging about 5 miles a day until I think Allan knee gave out on him.
Aww.
Well, actually, it was my thigh.
Yeah.
After a while, I was doing fine, with all the steps and everything. And
Up and down.
so I was a little slow, but I made it. I didn't, I did still behind a little bit here and there. But toward the end, I was having problems with my thigh. So that was the only thing that really hurt.
Your body was up in arms.
Yeah, that was all because of all that. But I think, again, it's so important. And having a registered dietitian on your side, I think, is just so valuable. And now, do you work privately, or how do you do? I know you help with your, on Instagram and stuff like that. You give a lot of information out. But what other ways if people wanted to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I think that's the best way to get a hold of me. And then we can talk about options, like if somebody wants to work one-on-one with me, or I do have for those who are looking to improve their cholesterol, I have a group program that's on a rolling basis for enrollment. It's a 6-week virtual program, so it doesn't matter if you're far away.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and that provides community and support for people that are like-minded and in similar situation. And, that's another thing. So basically right now it's the group, and then if somebody wants one-on-one, I offer that as well.
Okay, on Instagram, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
At Elick Nutrition, ELICK.
Okay.
And
Nutrition, can't beat that.
Yeah, and my name, Connie Elick, you can
right.
as well.
Okay.
But
and all else fail, reach
I
out to Allan or we can direct you to Connie.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. If you want to email me, it's just Mr. MR Foodie, the number 1, at Outlook.com. So Mr. Foodie 1 at Outlook.com. And I highly recommend seeing Connie. She's a wealth of knowledge, and her passion is what really impressed me. And, I've been at some dietitians, and they're very nice, but it's all rote. It's just read, lecture, and it's all, it can be the same and kind of boring type of thing. But I think that's more of the old style registered dietitians. Now they take a lot more pride in what you're doing, and I just see a lot of difference between the younger ones. And I think, but I'm a big fan of dietitians, and so many people make excuses for not wanting to, change your eating habits. I know someone who who has all kinds of medical problems, and everything is in his head. I don't like this. I can't. Well, guess what? You're going to have to. There's times I eat something I don't like it, but I'm going to eat it. If something is, sometimes you just got to do it. And I think a lot of it has to do with your mind. Mindset is pretty much everything, and in terms of what I feel is important in terms of making people make right suggestions. It's having a positive attitude, and eating should be fun. Eating, if you know that you're eating and you're healthy and eating, that makes it even a better experience than just cramming down, junk food, which a lot of people do. It's amazing the stuff I see. I'll never forget one time I saw some gentleman, and he was a big gentleman to begin with, and he had a big, huge plate in front of him, and before he even tasted it, he took the lid off the salt, and it was just pouring salt all over it. And I was just like overwhelmed with shock. It was like, oh my God. But people do that all the time, and that's where I think you don't have to have problems in order to see a dietitian. I think that's what I'm trying to say. If you want to prevent things, that's the best of all, is prevent problems, and that's where I think a registered dietitian comes in focus and comes in handy.
Well, plus it's concentrating on your health. And your health is not taking that pill, right? By the time you take that pill, it's just a Band-Aid effect. And I work in the pharmaceutical industry. So I'm the first one to say, well, that pill is just a Band-Aid effect. I mean, it doesn't solve the issue. It might lessen some symptoms, and it aggravates other symptoms. So at the end of the day, really, a healthy lifestyle, a healthy diet, it's really, really important, what you put in your body is how your body's going to react. So, your body is your temple, because if you don't treat it right, it's not going to act right, so.
Right. Plus, there's all kinds of aspects to that. I think I once did a DVD on my experience as a social worker and just being around people so much. I really feel the 5 most important things to a happy and healthy lifestyle would be, one is to have a positive attitude. Excuse me. Positive attitude. Second is to be less stressed. Try to eliminate as much stress as you can. 3 is to eat right. That's important. 4 is to exercise no matter what you do. Move around. And probably the most important one of all is give yourself permission to be happy. A lot of people just can't do that. They'll stay in a bad relationship at work or personal, and you're in charge of yourself. If you want to do something, you can do. If I can become a woman and Izzy become a man, you tell me we can't change. I mean, that's what I compare it to, but I think people can change if they want to, and that's the key thing. And that's where I think a dietitian helps with in terms of helping you feel good about yourself and giving you hope, because nothing worse than trying something and you feel like it's a losing end, nothing's going to happen.
Well, I think being a good diet and consulting with a dietitian is probably your first step to a healthier lifestyle, I mean, if you can make that first step, I think a lot of times that's where the threshold's going to maybe project you to a better, overall well-being, because then you're really concentrating on yourself and your own body, right? So I think, that's some of the... I think in our society, our stigma is like, oh, yeah, sick, go see the doctor. Well, by the time you see the doctor, it's a little too late. It's better to prevent seeing that doctor. So, the first step really is to look at, take an inventory in your own health and to see where you're at, and what your comfort level is and who, what you should start doing.
Right.
And this is Connie, being consulting with Connie as a dietitian is just your first step, right? So you have to be able to willing to do it, because you can consult with somebody, but if you're not sticking with the program, it's kind of a lost cause, right? So I think that's really all about that looking in the mirror, looking at yourself and see where you're at, and what you're willing to do.
Enough is enough,
yep,
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
And
Connie, do you have a specialized area that you believe in that you eat the most, that you really want to concentrate in, or is it pretty much across the board?
And what's your passion, maybe?
well, right now I'm focusing on cholesterol and cardiovascular disease, just because Well, it hits home because I've had certain members of my family have some issues with that. My grandfather had a couple of massive heart attacks, quadruple bypass. So, like, I grew up with having, not that I really understood it at the time, but knowing that, um, there are ways to help. You know what I mean? So, and then
Mm-hmm.
over the last couple of years, a lot of us have not been going to get our blood work done. And I am
Right.
sure that between the stress and the increase in sedentary lifestyle and everything like that, and then comfort eating, I'm sure we're going to see lots of increased numbers for people with high cholesterol, low good cholesterol, high triglycerides, and so forth like that.
Right.
So I
You know what?
feel like it's really important right now, especially.
Right. And those are good areas. Last year, I had an unfortunate incident, and I thought it was a heart attack, but it wasn't. It was quadruple. It was my arteries were clogged, so I too needed a quadruple heart bypass. But I had no symptoms whatsoever. My family doesn't have a history of heart problems, so it came out of nowhere. And a lot of people are like, "You didn't have any symptoms? All this stuff happened to you?" I'm like, "Nope, I felt great. I mean,
And his
nothing
labs were
happened."
normal,
So
so.
it could happen to anybody. I mean, literally anybody, especially as you get older. It's just your body. You've been when you're younger, you usually don't eat right, and that it adds to it. But I want to let people know that firsthand, I can tell you that you don't have to be sick and have all these ailments to have something wrong with you. And if you can head it off, you better, because especially like diabetes. I mean, it's not like you cut your hand or something and a boo boo. You ask your mom to kiss it and it goes away and everything. When you have diabetes, once you lose things, you lose it, and that's something that you can be. Of all the diseases, that's the way it was explained to me. My doctor said, of all the diseases, congratulations on having diabetes, because it's one disease that you have a good control over. God forbid you don't have that much with cancer and heart, but with diabetes, you can control it through exercise, through meds, but also through food and what you eat. That's probably the primary reason, I think, with most of it. But again, I can't say enough about going to a registered dietitian. With my program, I'm going to start doing that. I've talked to my doctor about it, and although I've seen many, I just want to be, things change too in terms of diets and stuff and what studies find. So I think you may have gone to one 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but I would highly recommend going, often. And don't you agree with that, Connie? I mean, a lot of people, they have one bad experience with somebody or something, and they don't do it anymore. But this is something that you really should always be aggressive about.
Yeah, it can be discouraging when we have a bad experience with a medical professional or just any person in general, generally speaking. It's just important to remember that that was a one-time thing and not everybody is like that. And there are people who genuinely care and that really want to see you work towards your goals, improve your health, improve your state of mind, feel better about yourself. And I believe that I'm truly one of those people. I really care. And it makes me so happy when I see somebody get so excited because they feel like, they're taking a positive step to taking control of what they can control, which is their behaviors and their habits. And, it's an amazing feeling when I get the feedback.
Right. And to be able to turn people on, to give them hope, and to do that, I mean, that's a good skill level. Not everybody has that. There's people that I go to that I see that have no emotions whatsoever. Everything's about themselves, and you're totally towards that other person. And that's one thing good about your profession, that it's very individualized. There's no one way to treat everybody one way. Everyone's different.
Yes, everyone's different. Everyone has different personalities, different health, history, different lifestyles.
Right. I remember when I was told, portion control is so big, and you get a scoop is one handful, and It's like, I got a small hand. I want Shaquille O'Neal's hand. Can I have that kind of scoop? And the answer is no. Whatever your body, body conditions are, that's the way you got to do it.
Well, yeah, Shaquille O'Neal is going to have higher nutrient needs than you.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a much larger individual.
Oh, yeah. You're a lot bigger. So is there any one thing that you learned that is more important than other things? If you had to list them in terms of 1, 2, and 3, are there any items that you feel is very important for people to follow?
That's hard to narrow down.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question,
yeah.
Alan. I mean,
well,
like everybody's so different.
You can't throw anything at me because I'm not there.
Anything that works for one person might not work for another. I mean,
Right.
everybody's weaknesses are different. Like my challenges is definitely not sweets because sweets is okay. I'm not thrilled about it.
Yeah, I'm not a sweets person
Yeah,
either.
so my challenges would be more like the salt. But most people would say, "Oh no, I don't care about that. I'd rather have a brownie or whatever," and I think they're gross to me. So so everybody's challenges is different. So you kind of gave her a loaded question.
I'm good at that, aren't I?
Well, I guess like a nice thing would be just working on your mindset, being open to change, and then generally speaking, eat a varied, moderate, colorful assortment. And make sure you're getting plenty of water. I mean, that's like just very general, but I mean, it is important to eat a plethora of different types of foods and not stick to the same thing day after day after day, because you're depriving yourself of what your body needs if you stick to certain
things. And you mentioned water. I know that's one of my downfalls too. Sometimes I go crazy, at times I don't. And water is so important for your body, for your skin, for everything. It just keeps everything functioning right.
Well, I mean, a lot of people think, "Oh, I could take this pill because I can't go to the bathroom," and it's like, okay. What's your water intake? That's my first thing I always ask people. Because you don't drink enough water, your joints are not going to be okay. Your body is not going to function correctly. You're not going to, everything's locked up because it's all dried up. You're like the desert, the Sahara Desert. It's like one big crack, so.
God, she's tough, isn't she, Connie? Can you imagine seeing her? It's like, holy crap.
So, I mean, I think, a lot of it really, like I said, people have to want to have better health.
As we open our water bottles right now.
Our water bottles, yeah, I dry out.
Yeah, really. I go mine.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the first step to good health, I don't know if Tani agrees, is really you have to want it. That person that want to make that first step to have good health, right?
You can take a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
Plus,
it's all about the person's mindset.
Your doctor, your wife, your husband, whomever can tell you what to do, but it's really up to you. You're the one that has to make the decision: do I want it or not? If you don't want it, then don't complain. Then all the problems that you have, don't complain. But if the doctors and people like Connie tell you what to do, and you don't do it, only one person is to blame. That's you. And I think Izzy, I think you're right. I believe, just personally, whether it's losing weight or anything, it's all in your mind. If you want to do it, you do it, period. And
believing you're worth it. You have to believe you're worth it, because you are. Each one of us is worth taking care of ourselves.
Well, it's like I mentioned before, being happy and, giving yourself permission to be happy. A lot of people, they just go through life and, kind of roll through things, but they're not really happy. And I think it's really important to really be happy, and, once you're on your deathbed, it's too late. And I should have, I could have, I would have. You can't. You think about it now as you get, as you're alive, think about it, But that's a whole different issue too. But again, if you want to get a hold of Connie, the best way is on Instagram. And it's what is it? Nutrition. One more time.
ELICK nutrition.
Yes, and also you can email me at the same elicknutrition@gmail.com. You can also call my professional line, which is the 951-223-1841.
Can you say that again?
951-223-1841.
1841, great.
But yes, social
and like
media.
I said, Instagram, I love the stuff you're doing. You you've really embraced it, and you have a lot of fun doing it. That's what I like about it. You give a lot of good information in a very short period of time, and it makes people think, and that's what I think your job is: make people think and then to react to it, And I think you got a really good thing going. And as you master all this stuff, can you teach it to me? Izzy tried, and I give up. I'm so dumb when it comes to this stuff. But if you can, I'll pay you for that and for counseling me on what to eat. How's that?
Allan needs a lot of help.
Oh, I try. But I try. That's one thing I can say I try. I'm just not consistent in what I do, but I do try. But anyway, Connie, I know you've got to run somewhere, so I want to give you some time to leave a little early. But
yeah,
is there anything
those
else you
plans
want
are
to talk
canceled,
about, or anything?
I think he kept her a little too long.
They were canceled for today. So
okay, so we're gonna boot her out of here.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so we can keep you for another 4 hours then, right?
24. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there anything you can say you want to talk about? Anything else that let people know about you?
Let's see. What would you like to know?
Well, when in doubt, maybe call you. Maybe reach out to you. Maybe somebody doesn't know, like, hey, am I on the right track? They have a question. Start that conversation would be probably important, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
then if somebody have dietary restrictions or preferences, they're probably the ones that you'd be the most helpful to help them navigate those, the dietary restrictions, and then what is good for them, what they like and what they don't like, maybe to, tweak it a little bit to make their health the priority and something that make them healthier lifestyle.
Right. And also a lot of people tend to focus on maybe things that they shouldn't have when there are other things that we can add in to the diet too. And when I say diet, I mean like your way of eating. I don't mean like a diet. Just to clarify.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Now again, why don't you give your phone number out one more time?
951-223-1841.
And then you can find you on Instagram. You can find it on
Facebook.
Yeah. What about YouTube? You do anything videos on that?
That is in the works. That is part of the plan. I think I just have one little video up there right now, but I think it's hidden, and it was for a conference that I did a poster presentation for my coconut oil research study.
Ooh,
oh, cool.
Interesting.
Speaking of coconut oil, what's with coconut milk? All of a sudden, I thought coconut was not good for you. Coconut oil is not good for you, and then all of a sudden, everything is coming out coconut now. So what's going on with that?
So I think overall the jury is still out on coconut oil because more research needs to be done. However, I can send you a link of to my thesis on the research study that I did. It was a human research study on feeding coconut oil to human subjects for 7 weeks and what came about from that. So
interesting. I'd like to read about that.
Yeah, I was very interested in that when I picked that for my thesis for my master's because I had so many people saying, "Oh my gosh, I swear by coconut oil, it's the most wonderful thing." And I said, "Well, there's not too much research on humans. I think, directly feeding studies." And so that's why I decided to do one myself and give my own little 2 cents. Of course, with the end result being we need more studies to confirm. And that's how, you have to, for reliability and validity of research and science, you have to have lots of the same results doing, you know what I mean?
Able to repeat the same thing to validate the whatever if you say something is good, you have to make sure to be able to repeat the same kind of experiment to get the same result to endorse that, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's confusing when you hear different things. It's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad. It's like,
don't you agree, Connie, that, there's no cure-all for everybody. You really have to listen to your own body. Like for me, coconut milk don't sit well with me. Like it gives me indigestion, actually, excuse me. But it really wasn't, like people say, oh, coconuts grow so great. And I'm like, yeah, great. But my body is not loving it. So Hence, it's off my, list of items I would put in there. I would substitute with something else, but that, I think sometimes it's important to listen to your own body too, right?
Well, yes, obviously, if you're feeling ill or not well when you eat or drink something, take that into consideration. But also, the thing with coconut oil is that it's about 93% saturated fat. But the thing about it also too is that it has no cholesterol. So it's like one of those weird foods that usually saturated fat and cholesterol go hand in hand. But saturated fat, according to the American Heart Association, contributes to the cardiovascular disease by increasing your bad cholesterol and so forth like that. This is what their stance on it. So that's why I feel like the research needs to continue with that because,
Wow.
Non-conclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, you've inspired me. I'm going to get up and drink a lot more water and put a hose in my mouth. I'm going to walk around here. Thank Garrett is my little cold here. And Connie, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And again, if you ever wanted to talk to someone who knows what they're talking about and very friendly and just a good person, Connie Elick, and just go to Instagram. You'll find her there. And or you two, or go give me a call, Mr. Food, or my email, mrfoodie1@outlook.com. It's FOODIE.com. So anyway, thank you, Connie, and have fun with your daughter tonight. Whatever, I know it's canceled, but go eat something good. How's that?
Oh, her and I are going to go roller skating.
Oh, fun.
Cool.
Even better.
Okay, cool.
Get some exercise in.
So. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Izzy, how much time do we have left?
We have less than 1 minute.
Okay. Anyway, thank you folks for listening to us. Food critic Allan Borgen here.
And Izzy Bussy. Pause.
Anyway, see you
All
next
right,
week.
take care.
Bye.
The words, you paint the picture. KCAA.
We've all heard jokes that begin with a rabbi, a priest, and a minister walk into a bar. Well, a rabbi, a minister, and a deacon actually walk into the KCAA studios every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. to host the radio